I think early childhood and advocacy kind of go together. I don't know that, it's like I just took off in advocacy. I mean, something happened in the work, that I've taken on as a kind of selected career that called for me to bring voice to it, as certainly others do. Things happen, and you feel the need to speak out. Things such as funding, and how that may or may not come to a small nonprofit. Things like, worthy wage in regard to the workforce that provides, high quality care to early care and education centers, things like that. And so, if things are happening to your institution or to the people affecting and impacting the people that do the work, I feel you've got to say something. There are times where you feel like you're seeing something wrong, and you need to bring voice to that. And really let somebody kind of know or shine light on, if you will, the situations, and how I or we in the work could see it being better. A lot of it's, starting out cold calling and, hey, I'd like to meet you, come over and see us if you don't mind, at a time that works well for you, and can we talk about X, Y, Z? I think it gets a bit more challenging when there are bigger issues that kind of have a systemic base, and you have to then, with county particulars, or politicians at a state level or what have you, approaching them in a respectful way, and certainly trying to look at, again, what agendas they may have. Certainly if you're a constituent of theirs, or if you're not, but yet knowing that something that, again, they may be working on, may have the children and the families and the staff in the best interest, and certainly there are times when I or we feel that it does not, and so what do we do about it? How do you say that appropriately with someone again that you're new to connect with? Something will come to you, it almost like will land in your lap, and it's like, oh man, what am I gonna do with this or about this or whatever? And if you're grounded in the work and focused, you're gonna do something about it, and be it kind of the John Lewis thing of, get yourself into good trouble, as he says, or what have you. But you're going to kind of find a way to start a process that you hope will bring about change. And if you're standing there for, again, the little ones, be they the little ones, in our programs, or the little ones in our families, in our staff's families, or what have you, again, we always say, the children's voices, they're young, they're developing. They don't have that piece yet, as honest and beautiful and wonderful as they are. We've got to carry the message to the legislators on what we believe based on child development and community needs and disparities and all of that, what's best for them. And how to, as we maneuver, as we work, how can we, best satisfy or support the needs of people. It's about human rights and civil rights. Providers are kind of the inside-outside person. You're in your centers, and then you're called to a meeting, or you hear this is going on, or you got to make the case and get to a hearing or whatever, and then get back there. But it doesn't allow us on a regular basis to just kind of really be in someone's face about these precious little ones who are growing up regardless of what happens, who have all of this stuff coming at them, and many of them experiencing much more than a lot of us ever have or ever will, because their parents, are exposed to so much and have, basically kind of wide open because, again, limited resources and everything else. How do we kind of embrace all of that and say, we got to walk along together? Because if we don't, we feel we've lost a generation or more already. We can't do that. Kids aren't and can't be, the cost to adults not, knowing and not doing. They just can't be. So much just would need to happen at the same time. You ended with, what would it be? And workforce is just really an issue right now. It really is. Everyone's talking about the crisis in childcare, and it's, the workforce. Accessibility programs aren't at capacity because, of workforce, limited workforce. And so what do we do about that? How do we start younger? How do we make the appeal, much in the way that, how does it become appealing to someone to be an early educator? How do we say, when other jobs or professions are viewed as, glamorous, and, you make XYZ amount and you get this signing on bonus, and, all the things that are happening. What do we do for childcare? What kind of messages do we put out there? How do we get others to value in the way that some of us have always valued the work and why we do the work and why this is important to make a difference in the lives of these little people? How do we bring others on? How do we expand their hearts and their minds so that they get that and then go into the field? And then, again, the schools that have dropped with higher ed, their departments and early childhood and all of this, open things back up and do this right and do this well and have people attending that then will be, again, broadening and expanding, our future workforce. Because if that doesn't happen, it's all for naught. I think the biggest issue is how do we describe, how do we paint a picture, how do we describe to people what the needs are? Basically what is the truth of the perspective, from the lens that we operate from, that maybe they haven't had opportunity to see because of the differing, levels of work or areas of work, that folks do. So I or we would want to hear, basically what's happening, what's happening, what's the need, what do you think would be the solution? How many, of course, the data, you remember all of that, how many are being affected, in order to basically assess, what's it going to take, what is it going to take? I think what's hard for me right now is when we say how much or what it's going to take, it ends up being about how much and how many dollars, and when that gets into millions, oh no, people shut down. It's like, not possible, and not everybody shuts down. Some realistically see that, certainly it takes that, but a lot of times it's about, oh, absolutely not, I don't know what we're gonna do. We can't get to that right now because that's entirely too much money. But, is it really about budget, or is it about, priority, and how do we, make kids and families in this field priority. I think as I think about it, doing that certainly is important. For me, I think we need to think also about outside of those four walls, and internally we can celebrate. We can and we do, and programs do, and we always try. And some of those are great celebrations. But I think sometimes it doesn't matter as much to staff because it's not coming from the outside. I'm 30 some years into a field now that, coming out of undergraduate where I thought it would be better for the next group of people. And I don't know that it is so much better. And I can look at them and talk with them and know that they feel that. And so what's going to give, what's going to change? And yes, in our certain environments, it might be a great working environment, great place to work, blah, 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 blah. But, again, if the field itself doesn't celebrate, its early educators, then I don't know that helps much. If higher ed and elementary ed staff don't respect early educators, but yet if they come in, for instance, to do ECSE or, ECFE or what have you, and it's, our teachers who can talk about the presenting issues with this child and, share the child's strengths and do all of that as well as, anybody or better. But they don't hear about it, or they don't feel equal, because of, again, how they're either approached or not considered outside of our four walls. I don't know what it's going to take and how long it's going to take for that to change, and it has to.